evening and welcome. This is Primetime News on TV1. I'm Trinity College. Here are tonight's top stories. Prime Minister tells Student Parliament that students' submitted proposals will be considered in shaping the new education reforms. Over 2.2 billion rupees spent to upgrade 809 schools to national level, but name boards installed in only 23. COPA reveals massive expenditure under 2020-21 project with minimal implementation. Education Ministry still has no approved national policy. Another revelation by COPA. Another key round of talks on US tariff reduction scheduled for next week.
බදු මුදල් අඩු කර ගන්නා වගේ සානදායි මිලකට උන්ගෙන් තෙල් මිල දී ගැනීමේ හැකියාවක් අපිට ලැබුණොත් සලකා බලමින් ඉන්න.
Sri Lanka's reserves could reach $7 billion by early 2026. Minister Samantha Vidyarathna provides assurance on economic progress. 7 court cases filed across 4 magistrate courts over killings of Tuskers. Suspects, including police officers, remanded over Galkiriagama spotted deer shooting. UN Security Council convenes emergency session over Thailand-Cambodia border clashes. On to those stories in detail. Prime Minister and Minister of Education, Higher Education and Vocational Education, Dr. Harini Amarasuriya says that constructive proposals presented by the Student Parliament will be considered for inclusion in the upcoming education reforms.
Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya participated today in the 5th session of the Student Parliament of Sivali Central College, Ratnapura.
ඉතින් ගරු කතානායකතුමනි ඇයි අපිට මෙහෙම වුනේ අපි අනිවාර්යෙන් මේ ගැන හොයලා බලන්න ඕනේ
වර්තමාන අධ්‍යාපන ප්‍රතිසංස්කරණ යෝජනාවලට එකතු විය යුතු නව සාක්ෂරතා සංකල්ප කිහිපයක් යෝජනා කරන්න මම කැමතියි
වැඩිහිටියන් බොහෝ දෙනෙක්ට වඩා හොඳින්
You've understood these education reforms better than many adults. You've critically analysed and presented both the strengths and weaknesses of these reforms in a very capable manner. So, I truly encourage you to speak up and share your thoughts with us. These education reforms cannot be something created solely by ministers and officials at the ministry. They must be shaped through national dialogue involving everyone. That's why the youth and the students of this country must be directly involved in this process. Therefore, I invite all of you to hold a special session of your student parliament, gather suggestions and opinions from students your age regarding these reforms and send them to us. These ideas are extremely valuable. What I see as most important in these reforms is preparing a future generation that can adapt to a rapidly changing world, a generation with flexibility, ready to face transformation. If we move forward with only one fixed skill set or remain confined to a narrow stream of knowledge, we won't be able to progress with the world. The world is evolving fast, and that's why adaptability and flexibility are vital. As the President also mentioned in Parliament yesterday, instead of a single linear plan, we must build an education system that creates multiple broad pathways, one that allows not just a single dream, but millions of dreams to be realized. A student said something today that really struck me, that the same adults who talk about their beautiful childhoods are the ones who destroy us. That really stayed with me. After hearing that, I decided I won't speak about my own childhood again. But you don't need to know that. What matters is that we work hard to ensure your childhood is filled with joy, free of pressure and burdens. If not, the memories of our past should not be passed down to burden yours.
අපි උත්සාහ කරන්න ඕනේ ඔබේ ළමා කාලය සතුටින් බරක් නැති මානසික පීඩනයක් නැති සොඳුරු ළමා ජීවිතයක් ඇති කරන්න තමයි අපි මහන්සි වෙන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් අපේ අතීත මතකය ඔබට වමාරන්න නෙවෙයි කියන එක.
The committee appointed by the Education Ministry to establish the Education Council says it will submit its initial report within the next 2 months.
මේ වුණට අධ්‍යාපන අමාත්‍යාංශයෙන් නම් කරලා තිබෙන ඛණ්ඩ.
So far, the groups appointed by the Education Ministry have submitted a large number of their views. Accordingly, within the set time frame, relevant trade unions, concerned parties and all related institutions, including the National Education Institute and the National Education Commission, will be consulted. Today, there was an agreement that within 2 months, they will submit their report. Accordingly, the committee appointed by the Education Ministry will deliver the report related to the establishment of the Education Council within the next 2 months. After that, we are prepared to move forward with the next steps.
ලබා දෙනවා. ඉන් අනතුරුව ඉදිරි ක්‍රියාමාර්ගවලට යන්න ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ගන්න අපි සූදානම් වෙලා ඉන්නවා.
Parliamentarian V. Radhakrishnan, representing the Sampagi Janabala Vega, says the new education reforms are a positive move.
The new government is working towards implementing education reforms, and we appreciate these efforts. However, it is evident that there has been a lack of attention paid to schools in plantation areas and the children studying there. If these reforms are carried out in a way that also addresses the development of these schools, the shortage of teachers, transportation difficulties and other related issues, we will offer our full support without hesitation.
Case file.
Now, the Committee on Public Accounts has revealed that Sri Lanka has never had a formal national education policy in place. It was also disclosed that over 2.4 million rupees had been spent solely on name boards under a project initiated by the previous government to reclassify 809 provincial schools as national schools.
2021 වර්ෂ තුලදී පාසල් 831ක් ජාතික පාසල් බවට පත් කිරීම සඳහා දල වශයෙන් රුපියල් මිලියන 2285.2ක ප්‍රමාණයක් මුදල් වැය කර ඇස්තමේන්තු කර පාසල් 22ක් පමණක් ජාතික පාසල් බවට පත් කර මෙම වැඩසටහන අතරමඟදී නතර කර තිබුණි. පළාත් පාසල් 809ක් ජාතික පාසල් ලෙස නම් කිරීම සඳහා නාමපුවරු වෙනුවෙන් පමණක් රුපියල් මිලියන 2.42 මුදලක් නිෂ්කාර්යව වැය කර රට පුරා ජාතික පාසල් නොවන පළාත් පාසල් 809ක් නාම මාත්‍රික ජාතික පාසල් ලෙස නම් කර තිබෙනවා.
ජාතික පාසලට ලක්ෂ 10යි බෝඩ් එකයි තාප්පේනේ ජාතික පාසල් ඇත්තට ක්‍රියාත්මක වුණේ. අපි මොන හරි කළා තියෙන්නේ 2023 දී පාසල් 23යි. එතනින් පස්සේ මේ ව්‍යාපෘතිය අවසන්. හරිද?
මේ ජාතික පාසල් 1000 හදනවා කියන සංකල්පයක් එළියට දාලා වියදම් කරලා තිනවා රුපියල් මිලියන 2285.2ක්. ජාතික පාසල් විදිහට හදලා තියෙන්නේ 22ක්. මේක බෙදලා ගත්තොත් එක පාසලකට කෝටි 10ක් වියදම් කරන්න පුළුවන්. මෙන්න මේ කියන සමස්තය අනිත් පාසල් වලට වියදම් කිරීම ඇතුළේ.
ගරු මන්ත්‍රීතුමා එතන මම හිතන්නේ එතන ඇස්තමේන්තුගත මුදල තියෙන්නේ. වියදම නෙමෙයි මම හිතන්නේ.
ඇස්තමේන්තු මුදල තියෙනවා. ඇස්තමේන්තු මුදල. ඒකනේ ඒක උඩ වැය කර මුදල කියලා කිව්වට පස්සේ ඉතින්
ඇස්තමේන්තුගතම ඒකම වියදම් කරලා තියෙනවා.
ඇස්තමේන්තු මුදලම වියදම් කරලා තියෙනවා. මේක වියදම් වෙලානේ ලේකම්තුමා.
දැන් ඔබතුමාලා පිළිගන්නවද මේ වියදම් පිළිබඳ අධ්‍යාපන අමාත්‍යාංශයේ නිශ්චිත අදහසක් නැහැ කියලා?
ඒක පිළිගන්නවා. දැන් අපි මෙතන ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න බෑනේ සභාපතිතුමා. මේ තත්වය නැවත වරක් සොයා බැලිය යුතු වෙනවා අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම. දැන් ඔබතුමාලා මතු කරන කාරණේත් එක්කම
දේශපාලඥයන් තමයි තීරණය කරන්නේ මොන පාසලද ජාතික පාසලක් කරන්නේ මොන පාසලද මේකෙන් අයින් කරන්නේ. ඒකට එහෙම ක්‍රියාවලියක් ඇතුලේ තමයි මේක අවභාවිතා වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒකට අපට මේ දේශපාලඥයෝ මේකට සම්බන්ධයි මේක. ඒකට මේ වියදමට අදාළ ඒගොල්ලෝ වග කියන්න ඕන.
අධ්‍යාපන ලේකම්තුමා අපට මේ පැහැදිලි කිරීමක් කරන්න පුළුවන්ද අපේ රටේ අධ්‍යාපන ප්‍රතිපත්තියක් තියෙනවද?
ජාතික අධ්‍යාපන ප්‍රතිපත්තිය 2022 දී එවකට පැවති ජාතික අධ්‍යාපන කොමිසම විසින් ජනාධිපතිතුමාට තමයි ඒක පිළිගන්වන්න ඕනේ 2022 දී පිළිගන්වලා තියෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ ඒක හැබැයි අවසාන අනුමැතිය ලැබිලා නැහැ.
ජාතික අධ්‍යාපන කොමිෂන් සභාව පත් කරලා තියෙන්නේ රටේ ජාතික අධ්‍යාපන ප්‍රතිපත්තිය හදන එක පිළිබඳ ජනාධිපතිතුමාට සහ කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයට නිර්දේශ දෙන්න. ඒ නිර්දේශ තමයි ඔය විටින් විට දීලා තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට ජාතික අධ්‍යාපන ප්‍රතිපත්තියක් සම්මත වෙලා නැහැ ඔය නිර්දේශ පදනම් කරගෙන.
ඒතකොට දැන් සකස් කරලා කැබිනට් එකට දීලා තියෙන මේ අනුමත වෙලා නැති තත්ත්වයක් තියෙනවා.
වසර ගණනාවක් වාර ගණනාවක් ඉදිරි දීලා තියෙනවා. ඉතින් ඉහළ තමයි ගිහිල්ලා. ඒතර අපේ පැත්තෙන් ප්‍රතිපත්ති ගණනාව සකස් කරලා දීලා තියෙනවා. හැබැයි කවදාවත් ඒක ජනාධිපතිතුමා විසින් ඉදිරිපත් කළා අනුමත වෙලා නැති ප්‍රශ්නයක් තමයි තියෙන්නේ.
Another round of high-level discussions on the reduction of US tariffs is scheduled for next week. Now, the talks aim to further reduce the 30% tariff that has been currently imposed by the United States administration on Sri Lankan exports.
Another round of high-level online discussions between the Sri Lankan Ministry of Finance and the US Trade Representative's Office is scheduled for next week, focusing on reducing the 30% tariff currently imposed on Sri Lankan exports. The Sri Lankan delegation expressed confidence that progress will be made before the 1st of August. An online meeting was also held yesterday between President Andrakumar Dissanayake and the ambassador of the US Trade Representative's Office, Jamison Greer. According to the President's Media Division, Secretary to the Ministry of Finance, Dr. Harshana Surya Peruma, also participated in the talks. The discussion focused on reducing tariffs and strengthening trade and investment ties between the two nations.
We have
reduced the 40% high tariff rate to 30%. Yesterday, there was another discussion with the President and the United States officials. I think our efforts are to further reduce those tariffs. And the government is also considering if we are able to purchase fuel from them at a concessional price.
Sri Lanka has officially concluded its bilateral debt restructuring process with the government of France. The final step in this process was marked by the signing of implementation letters between Sri Lanka's Ministry of Finance and key French financial institutions.
In a significant step towards strengthening international cooperation and restoring financial stability, the Sri Lankan government has officially concluded the bilateral debt restructuring process with the government of the French Republic. The milestone follows the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding with the Official Creditor Committee on the 26th of June 2024, which paved the way for restructuring Sri Lanka's external debt with bilateral creditors. As part of this framework, a bilateral agreement between France and Sri Lanka was signed on the 16th of June 2025. Subsequently, on the 24th of July, the first in a series of implementing letters was signed at the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development in Colombo. The implementation letter was signed by Dr. Harshana Surya Peruma, Secretary to the Ministry on behalf of the Government of Sri Lanka, and Yazid Ben Said, Country Director of Agency Franchard de Development on behalf of the French government. The implementation letters related to BPI France, Assurance Export and Banque de France was also signed shortly thereafter, completing the procedural requirements under the bilateral agreement. With these signings, Sri Lanka and France have officially concluded their debt restructuring arrangement.
Minister of Plantation and Community Infrastructure Samantha Widyarathna says Sri Lanka's economy is showing signs of recovery, with the country's dollar reserves expected to increase to $7 billion by early next year.
Now, the people are gradually feeling that the country is moving forward step by step. The biggest challenge we faced was the economic collapse. Our foreign reserves had dropped to zero, but today our reserves have climbed to $6 billion. And we believe that by the beginning of next year, we can increase that to $7 billion. The largest national budget since independence, 1,400 billion rupees, has been passed. Development work is picking up pace. Rural roads are being constructed. Tanks are being restored. Industries are being set up. And large-scale infrastructure projects like expressways are underway. We are also seeing progress in energy, with the new wind and solar power plants being developed. The dawn of development has returned to the country. Fraud and corruption are now gradually disappearing, and clean politics is taking root. We must explain to the people that the country is rising again, steadily and in an organized way.
News First with the people.
The marking of reserve boundaries for 48 ancient tanks across the country commenced on the 19th of July. The inauguration ceremony was held in Anuradhapura under the leadership of Deputy Minister of Land and Irrigation, Dr. Susil Ranasinghe. The reserve boundaries of the Nuwarababa in Anuradhapura were officially demarcated with the blessings of the Mahasangha. However, an organization advocating for land rights around Nuwarababa convened a media briefing today, raising concerns that the marking of tank reserve boundaries could result in the loss of their ancestral lands.
There are 3 generations. Even our father used it from our grandfather. For For more than centuries, we were farming, and then the government took over the lands. We handed them over with the deeds. The state gave the lands. Then with the permission of the lands, provincial and officials, we pawned them at banks and got money. We then sacrificed our lives to build houses. We built houses and lived in them, and now they are saying they are reserving tanks with boundaries. Where were the officials then? Why didn't they take action then?
The Soviet Department Adjacent General Varu, Eda Haiti had the Mahanagar Sabha, Nagrika Sangwardhan Adhikari, Waking Nildari, Eda Haitiani, Ayimakarinati.
However, Venerable Ratkam Samthera, chairman of the Anuradhapura Nurvava Joint Farmers Association, said that certain residents have unlawfully encroached upon the Nurvava Reserve.
Eda Rajavaru me ratta ගැන හිතලා කල්පනා කරලා බලලා මේ වැව් ටික හැදුවේ රටේ කොඳුනාරටිය හැටියට.
In the past, the kings thought of the country and built tanks, which were the backbone of our country. But after 40 years, people have claimed these tanks. Then the states at the time, with the help of the presidents, the tanks were claimed by them with deeds. But everyone knows they are tanks. We are a country backed by agriculture, not a country of weaponry. We need tanks, lakes, rivers, riverbanks, tank reserves. Therefore, people need to help save the tanks.
දහා අපේ ජනතාව හැටියට මේ වැව බේරා ගැනීමේ මහඟු කාර්යයේදී ඔබ උදව් කරන්න කියලා ඉල්ලන්නේ.
Minister of Agriculture K.D. Lalkanta has declared that anyone illegally occupying protected reservoirs, regardless of their status, will be evicted.
Are any of you settled along the border for tank? Are farmers occupying the catchment areas? Are there any hotels built illegally? At first glance, it doesn't appear so. But what do we always say? You asked us to rebuild the country. If that's the case, then shouldn't the ones living in these tank reserves be relocated? They must be relocated. When people live within the catchment areas, it reduces the reservoir's water retention capacity. It pollutes the water. Water we sometimes drink and bathe in. Water we sometimes drink and bathe with. If possible, let's start with removing Dudley's one in Polonnaruwa. We'll properly look into the reservoir project in Polonnaruwa when it begins. Whether it is Dudley or anyone else, we will take care of it. If anyone is living on or has occupied land illegally, the law must be enforced. They must leave. Even someone like him cannot be spared. What I'm saying is, a press conference should be held, and Dudley should state clearly, if my hotel has occupied land belonging to the irrigation system, I'll vacate it. I won't stay there until then. Since Dudley was mentioned, it must be said, at his Aurelia hotel, a portion of the land belonging to the reservoir has repeatedly been fenced off and demarcated for the hotel's activities. Land that was granted through the tourism board. I've also received reports that during the recent efforts to clean the Nuwara River in Anuradhapura, a few of our own MPs were found to be involved in similar encroachments. I told them to hold a press conference and announce publicly that they are doing it voluntarily. This is a national effort. It doesn't matter if it is one of ours, someone from another political party, or even Dudley or anyone associated with him. That's irrelevant. This is a national cause. And if we don't take action, farmers' associations should clearly remember, if this government doesn't do it, no one else will.
Minister of Environment Dr. Dhammika Pattabandi says that under the current government, 29 forest reserves covering more than 50,000 hectares have been officially gazetted. He made these remarks while declaring 8 mangrove ecosystems as reserves.
Today marks World Mangrove Day, celebrated under the global theme, Protect Wetlands for Our Future. To mark the occasion, a mangrove plantation program was launched at the Anavilundava Ramsar Wetland Sanctuary site in Putlam. 8 mangrove ecosystems implemented by the Vanaspati National Program were officially declared as protected reserves.
Within these few months, under the National People's Power, we have gazetted 29 reserves for this country and secured them for future generations. These 29 reserves cover nearly 50,000 hectares of land. We remember how we freed this land from the clutches of certain politicians back then, what challenges we faced and the threats. This is the result of struggle, a fight against something that was destroying our future.
අනාගතයේ විනාශ කිරීමට එරෙහිව කරපු යරගලේ ප්‍රතිඵලයක් තමයි මේ.
There is growing public concern over the recent wave of killings targeting Tuskers. Over the years, many majestic Tuskers have fallen victim to such brutal acts. Now, currently, 7 cases involving the electrocution and shooting of Tuskers are being heard across 4 magistrates' courts.
Cases involving the killings of Tuskers named Barana, Revata, Digadantuan and Sumedha are currently being heard at the Kakirava Magistrates Court. The trial of the Maheshake Tusker, who was shot and later brutally killed by having its tusks cut after collapsing, is underway at the Kabitigollava Magistrates Court. Meanwhile, the case concerning the death of the unicorn tusker is in progress at the Hingurakoda Magistrates Court, and the Bruthia Tuskers case is being heard at the Mahavava Magistrates Court.
Meanwhile, 4 suspects in connection with the shooting and killing of a spotted deer in Galkiriagama have been remanded until the 1st of August. This order was issued after the suspects were produced before the Dambulla Magistrates Court. The suspect who allegedly opened fire at the deer is also among those arrested.
During a search of one suspect's home, police discovered 12 locally manufactured 12-bore pump action gun along with 2 foreign manufactured firearms. 3 suspects, including 2 police officers alleged to have fired at the deer, surrendered to police yesterday after villagers handed them over. A tense situation arose between police and officials from the Wildlife Department during the incident. Senior Superintendent of Police MSK Vikramasinghe from Matale is overseeing 3 investigations related to the case. One investigation targets the 2 arrested police officers regarding their presence at the scene during duty hours and their direct involvement in the deer killing. Another probe is focused on allegations of assault against the suspects during the event. The 3rd investigation concerns the conduct of wildlife officers involved. Meanwhile, Acting Inspector General of Police Priyantha Veerasurya said that an internal inquiry has been launched into 2 police officers connected to the spotted deer killing incident.
6 mobile phones were discovered in Ward K of the Balikada prison, where former ministers Mahindananda Alutgamage and Nalin Fernando are currently being held.
Prison media spokesman Jagat Veerasinghe confirmed that 6 mobile phones were discovered during a special inspection conducted by prison officials in Ward K of Balikada prison. The ward houses former ministers Mahindananda Alutgamage and Nalin Fernando, who are currently serving sentences. It also accommodates over 100 other inmates, including former North Central Province Chief Minister S.M. Ranjit, as well as several foreign nationals. 4 suspects believed to be key figures in the drug trafficking network led by organised criminal Lalit Kannangara, who is hiding in Dubai, were arrested by the Hangwala Police Special Task Force Motorcycle Squad. According to the Special Task Force, officers set up a makeshift roadblock to check vehicles when 3 suspects on motorcycles ignored police orders and attempted to flee. The officers pursued and successfully apprehended them. The suspects, aged between 35 and 49, are residents of Hangwala. Authorities also recovered ice in their possession. A woman who had discreetly hidden drugs inside a soft toy had been arrested in Sidua. Police suspect that the woman, a resident of Kotahena, had engaged in drug trafficking using her child. This operation, carried out early this morning, involved the police Special Task Force and the Tri-Forces. During a search of the rented house in the area, a woman who had been inside one of the rooms with the child was seen leaving the premises carrying a soft toy in a suspicious manner. Based on that suspicion, the soft toy was inspected and police found more than 25 milligrams of the drug ice, over 21 grams of Kerala cannabis and an electronic scale hidden inside it. Police stated that several packets of ice were also concealed within the woman's body. Police suspect that she had handed the soft toy to her 8-year-old child and transported the drugs from Kotahena to Sidua with the child.
The Department Department of Meteorology has issued an advisory of strong winds in several areas. Accordingly, wind speeds are expected to increase, reaching between 50 to 55 kilometers per hour in certain regions.
A fisherman who went out to sea from the Kokilai and Mohotuvaram area has been reported missing. Police said the missing individual is a 23-year-old resident of Mulathivu. He had gone out to sea with a group of 6 fishermen. Search operations are currently underway to locate him. Meanwhile, a fishing vessel that had gone out to sea from Uyanwata Pahanadura met with an accident early this morning. The incident occurred as the vessel was returning to shore. However, all the fishermen on board returned safely. With ongoing rains in the western slopes of the central hills, the sluice gates of the Vimala Surendra Reservoir continue to remain open. Last night, strong winds swept through Heladangamoa in Uvaparanagama, damaging one house. Our Newsfirst correspondent reported that cultivation lands were also affected by the wind. A tree was uprooted by strong winds and fell across the Bulnava-Siambalava road near Dorahatara, completely halting vehicular movement. In Kaluvilpotana, Ambampola, 2 women were injured after a tree fell due to strong winds. The injured are a 49-year-old mother and her 20-year-old daughter. One sluice gate of the Ihalakotmali Reservoir has also been opened. With heavy rainfall, the water levels of St. Clair's and Devon waterfalls have risen significantly. The Department of Meteorology warns that strong winds can be expected in the western slopes of the central hills as well as in the northern, north-central, central, Puttalam, Trincomalee and Hambantota districts. Issuing an advisory on strong winds, the department noted that wind speeds in these areas may increase up to 50 to 50 kilometers per hour. Wind speeds in other regions may also rise to 40 to 45 kilometers per hour, according to the department.
I think 60 is probably not where we should think about this is sort of your end of your working life. That's just far too early. Basically, I think for many people continue to work to 70.
And I think in South Korea, 25% of over 80 years old population are still working.
Prioritizing crucial conversations. This is Leaving No One Behind. This Sunday at 8 p.m. on TV1. Sri Lanka has identified 5 candidate sites for its first nuclear power plant, marking a significant step forward in its pursuit of nuclear energy. A follow-up review mission by the International Atomic Energy Agency, or the IAEA, says the country is making steady progress in laying the foundation for a national nuclear power program. The IAEA's Integrated Nuclear Infrastructure Review, or the INIR mission, was conducted at the request of the Sri Lankan government from the 14th to the 18th of July this year. It evaluated Sri Lanka's progress since the initial Phase 1 review in 2022, which has made 26 recommendations and 6 suggestions to support the development of nuclear infrastructure. The expert team, comprising specialists from Bulgaria, Turkey and the IAEA, found that Sri Lanka has taken concrete steps since 2022. These include identifying 5 candidate sites for a nuclear power plant, setting up a procurement management structure, drafting a national nuclear law and integrating nuclear power into its long-term energy strategy for 2025 to 2044. Sri Lanka also hosted a national workshop on nuclear law in November 2023 and welcomed 2 IAEA site and external events design missions to assess the site selection process. Minister of Energy, Engineer Kumara Jayakudi, called the INIR mission a significant milestone in Sri Lanka's journey toward a sustainable and secure energy future. While the mission report is largely positive, it highlights challenges ahead, particularly in integrating a nuclear plant of over 600 megawatts into Sri Lanka's existing grid, which is increasingly reliant on variable renewable energy. The report also notes that further development is needed in human resources, stakeholder engagement, radioactive waste management and industrial participation. First approved for study in 2010, Sri Lanka's nuclear ambitions continue to move forward with international guidance and oversight. The International Conference on Child Protection 2025 was inaugurated in Colombo yesterday.
The International Conference on Child Protection 2025, hosted by the Center for Gender Studies at the University of California in collaboration with the National Child Protection Authority and supported by the European Union through UNICEF Sri Lanka, was inaugurated in Colombo yesterday.
Lanka, as in many parts of the world, children continue to face a range of threats: physical abuse, emotional neglect, sexual exploitation, trafficking, online harm, and institutional violence. These are not isolated incidents. They are systematic issues rooted in poverty, inequality, harmful social norms, and gaps in our protective systems. We must ask ourselves, are we doing enough? Are our systems responsive? Despite the challenges, there is much to be hopeful about. Sri Lanka has made commendable progress in strengthening its child protection framework, and this work is ongoing. We have a strong institutional framework, a workforce who can work with children, and an academia that is interested and capable to support us. Our country enjoys growing collaboration between government, academia, civil society, and international partners to address these important issues. These are all signs of a nation moving in the right direction. But we must go further. We must ensure that these laws are not just written on paper, but are implemented effectively.
Talking about child protection has become not only a necessity, but is a very urgent matter. Across the world, the rights and safety of children are under sustained assault, physically, psychologically, and in the digital realm. In this alarming context, we must renew our collective commitment to strengthen child protection, not as an emergency response, but as a permanent and integrated duty embedded in the laws, norms, and institutions that shape our societies. At the heart of these efforts stands the justice system, because justice is not only about accountability, it is about restoring rights, rebuilding trust, and empowering those who are most vulnerable. Justice for children must be guided by principles of proportionality, including age and gender appropriate treatment, and take at heart the need to take care and protect the dignity and future development of these children.
The conference brings together over 250 participants, including government leaders, leading government institutions, international and local experts, researchers, and child protection practitioners to forge stronger protection systems for children.
On to headline-making international news item this evening. Cambodia has called for an immediate ceasefire with Thailand, as the two countries have seen more than 30 people killed, including civilians, in the ongoing border clashes. Cambodia's ambassador to the United Nations said that his country asked for a truce unconditionally, adding that the country also wanted a peaceful solution of the dispute. Now, Thailand has not publicly commented on this proposal while rejecting third-party mediation. It earlier declared martial law in 8 districts bordering Cambodia.
Fighting on the Thai-Cambodian border extended into a third day, and new flagship points emerged today as both sides sought diplomatic support, saying they had acted in self-defense and calling on the other to cease fighting and start negotiations. At least 32 people, soldiers and civilians have been killed, and nearly 200,000 displaced in the two Southeast Asian countries who accuse each other of firing the first shots on Thursday. Thailand's military said the Cambodians launched attacks in a new area near the coast in the south today, but were pushed back by the Navy. Earlier, Thailand reported fighting in its Surin, Ubon Ratchathani and Sirasat provinces along the border with Cambodia. Officials in Bangkok said 19 people, 13 civilians and 6 soldiers have been killed in the country since Thursday. Thai officials added that nearly 140,000 people have been evacuated. Cambodia's defense ministry has reported 13 killed, 8 civilians and 5 soldiers. It is said that more than 35,000 people have fled their homes. Thailand's acting prime minister warned that clashes could, quote-unquote, move towards war. He said the fighting now included heavy weapons and had spread to 12 locations along the border. Thailand also accused Cambodia of firing into civilian areas and evacuated all villagers deemed to be within the radius of its rockets. The dispute between the two countries dates back to more than 100 years ago, when the borders of the two nations were drawn after the French occupation of Cambodia. There have been sporadic clashes over the years, which saw soldiers and civilians killed on both sides. The latest tensions ramped up in May after a Cambodian soldier was killed in a clash, plunging bilateral ties to their lowest point in more than a decade.
Trinity College Kandy defeated Isipatana College Colombo in their inter-school league rugby match.
The quarter-final clash of the Inter-School League rugby tournament was held in Pallakele, featuring a strong contest between Trinity College Kandy and Isipatana College Colombo. Taking an early lead and heading into half-time 17-5. The second half saw Trinity continue their dominance, adding 15 more points to their tally, while Isipatana could only manage 5 points. The match concluded with Trinity College securing a convincing 32-10 victory. Trinity's points came from 4 well-executed tries, 3 successful conversions and 2 penalty kicks. Meanwhile, Isipatana managed to cross the try line twice, but struggled to add further points. This year, Yes 101 of the MTV MBC Media Network proudly serves as the official radio partner for the Kandy Trinity College rugby team in the Inter-School League Rugby Championship.
The CMG Cricket League 2025, hosted among the subsidiaries of the Capital Maharaja Group, concluded successfully today. Claiming the championship title was the Blue Fire team, representing the Maharaja head office, showcasing exceptional skill and teamwork throughout the tournament.
The CMG Cricket League 2025 was successfully held today at the Coles Cricket Ground in Colombo. Organised among the subsidiaries of the Capital Maharaja Group, the tournament aimed to enhance the sporting skills and foster camaraderie among staff members. A total of 32 teams representing various subsidiaries participated in the league format competition. Each team played 3 matches in the preliminary round, with the top teams advancing to the quarter-finals. In the quarter-finals, Blue Fire from the Maharaja head office faced off against KV Young Fighters. Blue Fire emerged victorious. The other quarter-final was contested between Tough Legends and Real Fighters, with ICL Real Fighters securing the win. This set the stage for the grand final between Blue Fire and Real Fighters. Blue Fire, batting first, posted a competitive total of 95 runs before being bowled out. Chasing the target, Real Fighters managed 76 runs before their innings ended. Blue Fire clinched the title by 19 runs, showcasing strong teamwork and determination. The championship trophy was presented by Sashi Raja Mahendran, chairman of the Capital Maharaja Group. Senior management of the group also attended the event to honour the winners. As part of the event, several special matches involving subsidiaries of the Capital Maharaja Group were also conducted. For the second consecutive year, Fox Resorts won the award for the best pavilion. The award for the player of the match went to Hansaka Jayasekara, captain of the Blue Fire team. The runner-up trophy was awarded to the ICL Real Fighters team. Accordingly, the Blue Fire team representing the Maharaja head office emerged as champions of the CMG Cricket League 2025, securing the prestigious Sashi Raja Mahendran Challenge Trophy.
Team Blue Fire, the winners of the Sashi Raja Mahendran Challenge Trophy for the year 2025.
And that's a wrap of your news for today. Thank you for joining us. Good night.